So I wanted to extend the discussion with you because the panel was about government strategies, right? With emerging technologies as a means of attracting foreign direct investment. Now, I don't know if you know this, but I used to work for the Department of International Trade, which was quite an interesting experience, and it was all about focused on two things: inward investment and trade, as measured by UNCTAD and various things. But one of the things that we focused on was developing and shining a light on the UK's strengths. One of the challenges was actually implementing policy change to actually really drive and fuel inward investment. I'd love to know, because I know you've been deeply involved in helping create this strategy for Malaysia. So I'd love to know, firstly, what the process of writing that strategy was, and secondly, if it's successful, what will happen?
I think any strategies needed to be evaluated and written in a very holistic manner. What I meant by holistic manner, it should include all the stakeholders that are involved in any strategy. Coming specifically to FDI, Malaysia has been a country that is largely a trading nation for many, many years. And if you look at our GDP to FDI ratio is one of the highest in the world, meaning which that we are quite susceptible to international trading, and we are a trading nation. Having said that, obviously, for the first 61 years of our existence, we had one government, and that government promoted very much foreign direct investments. I did say, shared with you in the morning, that we did in the first time our Prime Minister Tun Mahathir was the PM, he really drove the FDIs. He brought in lots and lots of FDIs, technology, non-technology, and then propelled Malaysia to where it was. We were once called the Asian Tiger. After him, the strategies changed, more inward looking and so on. But again, he's back into the forte as a Prime Minister. And the first thing, in fact, we just had our budget a few days ago, the budget 2020. And one of the key elements into that is to promote and encourage foreign direct investment via technology. For that, just for that, we have allocated close to 1 billion ringgit in attracting, or at least in the initial stage of bringing this type of companies that is focused primarily in technology.
Let's put that in perspective. Does anybody here, can they quickly figure out how much that is in pounds or dollars? 1 billion ringgit.
Yeah, you divide that by 4.
By 4?
4 US dollars.
1 billion, 250 million?
Yeah.
Is that right? So
that's just a seed funding, so to speak, and hosts a lot of other incentives. Tax incentives, like for first 10 years, no tax to be paid, and many other things. But remember, you cannot focus a strategy just based on Malaysia. Malaysia is a springboard to ASEAN 10, and we have about 550 million population there, and Malaysia becomes a very good springboard to this country.
Is it a relatively tariff-free springboard?
Yes, it is very much tariff-free springboard because we have something called the ASEAN Free Trade Area. And they have a lot of almost no barriers among the countries.
So if you're based in Malaysia and say you're an insurance company, can you sell your insurance products in the ASEAN countries?
Okay, there are some restrictions, obviously. The regulatory framework is something that is evolving. In countries like Malaysia, for instance, our regulatory framework for, say, banking sector, finance sector is quite extensive. And that's why we are protected from the financial crisis when it happened. Our exposure to international market was less than 2% at that point of time. So, yes, there are areas that is quite liberal in the policies, but there are areas for very legitimate reasons they are quite protected.
So if this I'm going to call it a seed fund, 250 million seed fund, I love it. But that what kind of company should be attracted to, what kind of companies are you trying to attract in? Who do you need to fuel your economy?
Okay, the finance minister did mention unicorns. That's fine, but there are also companies that has quite a legitimate technology that is that will bring the country to the next level of high income, high nation, high technology situation. Now, Malaysia have been having both good and bad experience. Good experience with many companies who have come there, launched themselves in a big way and done well. This is since mid-80s when Multimedia Super Corridor was first launched by Tun Dr. Mahathir.
I remember it.
However, we've also had bad experiences where some companies, they come and promise the sky and the moon, and at the end of the day, nothing came out except the funds were finished off. So this time around, there are very good criteria that has been developed. There will be a more rigorous evaluation done, and therefore, I think we will be able to avoid that. Be that as may, the most important factor is that Malaysia have already embraced 4IR very much. So now we need to get these right guys into the country and to accentuate those embracing of the 4IR into bigger way.
So while the last tour of duty I did with the UK government was working with the number 10 Downing Street team on feeding into policy, right? Watching them create policy to drive the tech economy. So, and it was an amazing thing to watch and learn about how those little policy levers can make a huge difference in signaling to the tech sector that you want the tech sector to flourish, you know, the right kind of. So how are you influencing policy around that, and what can we expect to see come out next in policy to support, say, the tech industry?
There are 2-3 ministries who have been tasked with pushing forward this tech policy, and we've been engaging with all the ministries as in sort of an advisory role and strategic role.
Because you don't want to tell them what to do, but you want them to be aware of the importance of strategies, right?
Correct, and they must be participative type of strategy. You see, the thing is, you can come and write beautiful blueprints and all that, and then you give it to them, and they may give 2-3 speeches on that, maybe 5-6 speeches after that, with a speech stamp and all that. Then it ends. We do not want that. Yeah. The beauty of a right strategy is that not just putting up a blueprint, but something that can be trackable, something that must be measured over a period of time. The good news is that we have quite a good, decent cabinet ministers now under the present government, and they are quite specific to wanting to ensure this thing happens. But remember, I did talk about change management.
You did.
The change management is something that is also shocking to me in a way, because when we engage with certain stakeholders in the government, we find that there are quite resistance to the same old status quo. Obviously, that happens for a variety of reasons, both professional and non-professional. But coming back to what we always say, if you don't embrace it, you're going to be shipped out.
In conclusion, if you're successful, do you have targets that you've set yourselves for, say, inward investment? I mean, it's the topic of the title of the speech.
Okay, we want
or goals.
The inward investment as high as not just the sky, but above the sky. That is our goal.
That's bold.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yes, like for instance, we have started an initiative called Kuala Lumpur Tech City, right. Model along something that you are very familiar with, London Tech City. And Dinesh has been quite what we call instrumental in pushing this agenda. He has met everyone, from the finance minister to everyone, to get these things done. And I think in the first year, I think we are getting about 10 unicorns to relocate their presence in Kuala Lumpur Tech City. Wow. That could be the impetus, the needed impetus for Malaysia. In terms of exact figures, we do not really
But as high as the sky or higher if
Higher,
possible.
yeah.
I like that. That's a great way to finish. Dr. Rais Hussin, thank you so much for sharing, and we hope to see more of you also back here in London.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Rais Hussin.
Thank you.